like living a storybook adventure beyond your wildest imagination. From the North Pole of Fantasyland comes a feature-length fable with the most enchanting characters in the whole wide world, headed by the white-whiskered fellow who's the granddaddy of them all. Now, a magic motion picture transports you to an over-the-rainbow land, past the doors of Santa's towering castle and the strange, mysterious, all-seeing eye, into a fantastic crystal laboratory filled with weird and wonderful secrets no one has ever seen before. You'll see them all, and you'll discover how Santa can watch every child on Earth and every good or bad thing they do. Now meet Merlin, the Wizard of Wizards, the miracle man of the ages.
Two for the show. Away we go.
Hurry, Mr. Merlin. This is no time to play horsies.
Come face to face with the devil himself, a mischievous demon determined to mess things up as much as he can.
It's yours. Nobody saw you take it, Lupita. They have more and they won't miss it. What does one little doll matter, don't you see?
Leave it to that devilish trickster to sidetrack Santa up a tree. Watch the jolly hijinks of Santa Claus as he decides to fight fire with fire.
Oh ho, a cannon.
Ouch! Oh! Oh!
You won't want to miss the entertainment wonder of the ages, the treat of a lifetime for anyone who has ever believed there really is a Santa Claus.
It's almost day, and Santa Claus hasn't come.
Sleep now, darling. Sleep now, and you will see. Maybe when you wake up, you'll find it, darling.
You'll see more wonders than you can wave a wand at as a dazzling panorama unfolds before your startled eyes.
Saturday and Sunday matinee only at a theater near you.
Hello, welcome to Movie Humpers for now.
Hello.
My name is Bob Sham.
My name is Angela.
And it is that time of the year, what they call
the most wonderful time of the year.
And you've heard that jingle on TV ad nauseum. So we're very typical in that way, in which we want to assault you with that same Andy Williams line.
The most wonderful time of the year.
Camp Comfort and Joy. I want to say, I've been saying this all month, but like our SoundCloud feed, our RSS feed, the show's on two RSS feeds. The SoundCloud one, specifically the one that has Documenteers and Movie Humpers on it, will be taken down sometime after the first of the year. So you can go to SoundCloud and download any Documenteers or Movie Humpers episodes you want. But it will all be, we're trying to focus everything on the one RSS feed. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you look at the feed and it's like, this is just Movie Humpers episodes, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Also, we're going to change the name of the show. And we're going to announce it this Sunday before Christmas on Pod and a Monday before Christmas on YouTube. So we got a hot new name. We think it's going to be good. No more cum font. No vaguely pervy title. We're going to move on from that much at the very least.
If you do want to download, do not wait, because if we take SoundCloud down, I think by January 15th, they won't charge us for another year. So it's not going to be there.
I'm sure there are places online way deep that maybe you can download that have uploaded our episodes, because the show Documenteers was like years ago at this point. But I wouldn't wait. It's real easy to download all that shit off of SoundCloud. I did it in like all those episodes. I did it in like 30 minutes. That's maybe all it took. It downloaded real quick, unless your internet sucks. That's on you. Go to the Panera, get on their Wi-Fi, and download old Documenteers episodes before we take it all away. Panera, where it smells like death in the air. Someone was describing like the bread smell in Subway as smelling like sickly, and I think that's a similar feeling that I get in a Panera. Now we're back to the holiday movies, the Christmas movies, and we are discussing our very first Mexican feature film. This was made in Mexico. In a few months, we will be discussing our second ever Mexican feature film. But yes, the first time, and you picked most of these, and you were going for some camp, but this one, they did re-release this in the U.S. sometime after the fact. But this appeared on Mystery Science Theater 3000. And the episode, the character of the devil, also known as Mr. Pitch, became apparently a reoccurring character in the Mystery Science Theater lore because he was such a wacky and strange character.
He is wacky, but that means people might actually know about this. I didn't know about this.
I used to watch that show a lot back when it aired, but the thing is, that show would come on at like 11 or 12 at night. So a lot of my youth was falling asleep to Mystery Science Theater 3000 more than actually retaining a lot of what it said, you know? So I don't recall this episode. I recall the robots, you know, shit like that. And occasionally, I'm sure I laughed at some things they said, but I didn't retain too much. But the feeling of it, there is an emotional feeling with that show that does retain, that makes me feel very comfortable when it's on. I don't recall watching this one on that show. This one is called Santa Claus versus the Devil from 1959, also known as just Santa Claus, directed by Rene Cardona, written by Adolfo Torres Portillo and Rene Cardona, starring Jose Elias Moreno, Jose Luis Seguirre, Lupita Quezades, Armando Arreola, cinematography by Raul Martinez Solares.
So Lupita played Lupita.
Yeah, Lupita played herself. That Lupita, there's a deep, dark sadness in that Lupita.
She's a very poor little girl who Santa Claus has never visited before.
There is like a universe of sorrow behind those eyes. There is something. She seems like something that, like something ancient and intense lives inside of her.
She's never had a toy ever in her life. Her mom's always sewing though. Make your little girl a doll.
She can't make a rag doll?
This is what I'm saying. You can make a doll.
Caminar, va Dios mismo en nuestro mismo caminar.
Two-faced ragdolls danced around her in this movie. This movie could also be called Lupita's Nightmare.
It could.
All right, this movie, overarching, I guess the plot is that Santa is Santa, and the devil, who is called Mr. Pitch,
is trying to ruin Christmas.
Yeah, you figure he probably tries this every year.
Yeah, you would think so. There's also Lucifer.
Yeah.
And Lucifer is the devil's boss.
We don't see him, though.
He's fire.
He's just fire.
He talks to Pitch through fire, and Pitch calls him Lucifer. He's a devil, I guess. There's just a bunch of little devils, a demon. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to turn kids against Christmas and Santa Claus. He's trying to make kids be bad. And Santa Claus cannot go to Earth. He lives in space. He cannot go to Earth.
Away up in the heavens, far out in space, in a beautiful golden crystal palace right above the North Pole, lives a kind and jolly old gentleman, Santa Claus, also known as St. Nicholas, the best friend of boys and girls everywhere. But let's move in for a closer look. Come along.
He lives in space above the North Pole, which I kind of like that concept. And it's like a floating cloud world. And he lives up there with his gay lover, Merlin, the wizard. And,
there's no Mrs. Santa Claus.
And a dude that is like a blacksmith. He lives there he's in a throuple with Merlin and a hunky blacksmith.
That blacksmith does not wear a shirt.
We also maintain this month's theme of slavery. Slavery keeps popping up because at the start of this movie, Santa, forget the fact that a lot of the kids from these countries are not Christian and they have their own thing. They don't do the Christian Catholic shit. There's a narrator. The English narration is by Ken Smith, where we narrate Santa like calling upon selected children from certain countries
who build his toys.
And we go through each country, and they build his toys. He doesn't have elves. He has these selected kids from different countries. Doesn't matter if they're predominantly Christian countries or not, but they live up in Santa's heavenly palace
on a cloud, and he plays the organ or piano while they're being introduced. It throws up a country and then shows a group of 3 to 6 children singing and dancing and in clothes to suggest the country they're from.
It looks like they're reusing some of the kids, obviously.
There are a lot of kids when they pull out, though.
But if I wasn't sure if some of these kids were white-faced in the more Anglo countries, or if it was the coloring of it's colored by Eastman color.
There's a part later where everyone just looks blue in that whole scene.
I think it's just the way they colored it, but a lot of these kids look like they have powder on their face. Like even when we get into the more Mexican kids, it seems like they are lightened up quite a bit.
My theory is that someone who didn't know what they were doing was in charge of making sure nobody's shiny, and they just powder puffed everybody with the same too pale powder.
You also have the Eastman color that's brightening everything up, and it makes it look very bizarre.
Santa's castle in the clouds. He also has 2 neighbors. We don't know who lives in those castles. I think it's the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny.
Makes sense.
He has a couple children that interact with him on a regular basis. They help him look down to earth and find children to check in on them. Because, Santa Claus knows everything, but he still needs to look at them through a creepy telescope with an eye on the end of it. He also has this machine where he can communicate that has a giant mouth that looks like a prolapsed anus.
It's the best part about this movie is the sets and the weird shit. It does look like a early Pee-wee's Playhouse concepts here.
It's a nightmare Pee-wee's Playhouse, though.
Yeah,
to me.
But it's the most interesting, and it looks like the stuff, the sets and the props. And it's the only part of the movie that I actually really liked.
That's true.
I mean, it's bizarre, but it was bizarre in a creative way, unlike everything else, which was just fucking bizarre.
The other bizarre thing is that the devil is trying to turn the whole world against Santa Claus, and Santa Claus is trying to save these little children, but they're all in the same city, so we don't go around the world, even though we spent forever going around the world at the beginning. There's a couple kids we follow. There's Lupita. She's a poor little girl who really wants a doll, and her mom's constantly pulling her away from things. There is a very rich little boy who's
Billy.
very sad.
His name's Billy.
Who just wants to spend time with his parents, but they are rich and they like to party. And then there's these 3 little boys who are the bad boys. And the devil likes them, and he gets them to throw rocks at Santa.
We meet half of these kids when they're standing in front of this toy store window. And in the window is a mechanical Santa.
This thing's creepy,
that
too.
looks creepier than anything else. And you're really on the side of the 3 bad kids when they throw rocks and break the window and throw rocks at the mechanical Santa, which looks like one of Lupita's nightmares.
I forgot this part. In this moment when they throw the rock and it hits the mechanical Santa, real Santa feels it hit him in the head. Earlier, one of the kids in Santa's castle brought him this devil doll and said, "Hey, I found this," and Santa Claus does something to it and it catches on fire. And that's when we go to hell and Lucifer says, "Go get Santa."
Antagonizes Mr. Pitch or Lucifer through the doll because somehow the voodoo works through it. And that's when we get our adversary coming up with his hijinks. And the 3 boys that are the bad boys, I like them a lot.
Me too.
You know that Kinks song? I think it's called Father Christmas. One of the few good Christmas songs out there. The story of the song is that they want to rob Santa and take his money because he only gives toys to kids with money.
Father Christmas, give us some money. Don't mess around with those silly toys.
We don't need your stinking toys. We're going to rob you. We're going to take your money. That's essentially what these three kids are.
That is this movie. Lupita has never gotten a Christmas present from Santa Claus because she is a poor kid. This sad rich boy gets all the presents every year.
You were hating on the poor little rich boy.
No, it cracked me up, and it just there was this one part where we've met all these kids and we've gone through all this stuff, and there's one of the parts I do like is where all the kids are reading their letters to Santa Claus, and it shows a bunch of different kids from all over. And his thing is that he wants his parents for Christmas. It's this shot of him looking very sad in his mansion with his like little rich boy pajamas, and it says, "And the poor little rich boy." And it just,
yeah,
I know he's sad, but it's just like there's also a little girl who might not have eaten dinner.
He's just a little kid born into this.
Okay, but
they're gone.
His parents kissed him and tucked him into bed and told him they loved him. If he'd gone to sleep, he wouldn't have even known his parents were gone.
That might have been the first time.
He got up and hung out in the house.
That might have been the first time he saw his parents in like a week.
They're at this dinner, and Santa Claus shows up as their waiter.
That's a strange cocktail, isn't it?
We don't see him, but we hear his voice, and he gives them these magical drinks.
It's the cocktail of remembrance which only I can prepare. Whoever drinks it will think of that which is most dear, and which at times, for some unknown reason, we seem to forget.
That's a beautiful thought. Perhaps we need a reminder. Very possibly we've forgotten someone we love.
Love can be expressed in many ways, but the truest love is that which we give without expecting anything in return. The greatest reward for those who love sincerely is love itself. So drink my cocktail, and you will become aware of that love which is closest to your hearts.
And those without love?
They couldn't drink this cocktail, as it would burn their throats.
When you drink it, it makes you miss the thing that you love the most in the world. And what did they both miss? Their son.
Lupita.
The devil says to her, "You don't ever get anything you want. You deserve this doll. Just take the doll." And she does put the doll in her jacket at one point and carries it around, but she puts it back because she doesn't want to be a thief.
He really tries hard to pull Lupita in. He really wants Lupita particularly. But Lupita, I think she's not really driven by the guiltings of Santa or the temptations of the devil, but the dark ancient sadness that is within her really is the one that regulates her emotions and her feelings.
Caminar, va Dios mismo en nuestro mismo caminar.
How does she see the ragdolls dancing around, which is fucking creepy as shit?
The devil has the ability to fuck with these kids' dreams. And he does it a couple times. He goes to her house, blows on her while she's sleeping.
Whoa, what?
I mean, he goes like...
Yeah, he has hot breath.
He blows on her head. It shows her little hair like fluttering to just so we know he's really there, I guess. No one can see him. Her mom is sitting there sewing. Her dad, by the way, loves her so much that he's out looking for a job in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve.
Why is it in movies that everyone is busy with their everyday lives on Christmas Eve?
He blows on Lupita because he's trying to make
that makes
her,
me uncomfortable. That
in
sentence.
her dreams, in her dreams, dream of these dolls because he's convincing her to go back and steal this doll. And these dolls are the creepiest things. They have heads on their fronts and backs.
Yeah, the dancing ragdoll people. It is legitimately scary, and I guess they're trying to tempt her. Like this seems like the worst temptation to. But because Lupita's inner sadness is so deep and ancient, it doesn't seem to. They don't seem to affect her.
There's this part that goes on way too long, where one of the evil dream dolls is standing over her and is like,
"Why don't you steal us? We can all be yours." No, you know that stealing is bad and I want to be good.
But you must learn to steal.
No, you know stealing is bad and I want to be good.
We dolls don't like good little girls.
No, to steal is evil and I don't want to be evil.
You must be evil if you want a doll.
I do not want to be a thief. I do not want to be evil. I do not want to be evil. And she just keeps saying those things over and over and over and over again.
So Santa now has to do his thing, and he gets his reindeer, which seem mechanical. I don't think they are. Are they mechanical reindeer?
Yes, they are, because they have a latch on the side and they get opened
they
up
get
and
wound
messed
up
with them, and then they also get wound up. But we've learned in this one, and this is a bit of Santa lore that I've never heard before. Well, first that he has mechanical reindeer, that's new. But the second thing is the reason Santa Claus has to do everything at night is because sunlight will turn his reindeer into dust.
Interesting. So
would he just fall out of the sky in that case?
I guess, or maybe if he's in the sky, I suppose. So Santa's got to do his thing. In this movie, you could use a few more cuts than this movie really gives, because say Santa has his ladder going down a prop chimney. Well, we have to sit and watch this large Mexican man slowly go down this ladder the whole time. You could cut 30 minutes off of this movie.
You really could.
There's a point where Santa has to climb a step stool to look into the telescope. And we watch this man just very, carefully get on the step stool, when all he could have done was stand in a frame. He's like, I'm going to check my telescope, walk off the frame, and then you could just have a shot where he's just looking in it. Full of these moments where we have to watch this man try not to break his neck while slowly walking up a step stool.
Also, every time they look through their magic eyeball telescope, we have to go outside of the building, of the mansion in the sky, watch the little door open up, the eyeball come all the way out, every single time.
Pretty drag-ass movie, all in all.
One of the parts that was not necessary, but I really loved, was when the three little boys, who we find out are brothers, are on the roof of their apartment building, and they're setting up a trap to catch Santa, and the devil's whispering in their ears, and they stretch out this big rope from one end to the other, and then one kid's holding each side, and the third kid stands up and walks over to the rope pretending to be Santa Claus, and then they raise it and trip him. That I actually liked, even though it was way too long also.
We'll get to the end where they kind of have a head off at this house, and the devil, it's this set, and the devil is making the doorknob hot, but Santa can see him through the window very easily. I really wanted some final climactic battle, but we didn't really get that. But the devil then whispers in the household's ear and gets them worked up like something's going on. To
call the police and stuff.
Yeah, you better stand up for your family. Your home's being invaded, something like that. But then the family all gets together, and it becomes this comical thing where the father's trying to be brave. He doesn't know what's going on, but he's kind of a coward.
He keeps trying to give the gun to the mom.
And the devil's whispering in the mom's ear, you should shame these men for being giant pussies. And the way the dad was, it was actually kind of comical, the way he acted, his little characterization.
He gets run up in a tree and a dog is barking at him.
And he gets the idea from Merlin, because he can't think of it on his own, to pull a stuffed cat out of his bag and throw it so the dog will chase the cat.
The reason Merlin is there, I guess is the reason, aside from being Santa Claus's lover, is that he gives Santa powerful tools like this dust that makes children fall asleep so they won't see him. Right. And also a flower that when he smells it, he disappears. And when he smells it, he reappears.
When he tests the flower and he disappears, you hear his voice go, "How do I come back?" And Merlin's like, "You just smell the flower again."
He literally says, "It's the same as last year, Santa." You know they go through this every year. Because I kept saying that. I was like, these are not new things.
I figured the first thing I would have tried if I wanted to reappear was to smell the invisible flower again.
Santa's
but Merlin,
just too happy. He's not paying attention. He's just, ha, ha, and keeps going.
Merlin is literally like, we've done this before. This movie happens the exact same way every single year.
There is a scene, I think they're trying to be funny, but Merlin he walks over to this one side of the room and then he's like, "Oh no, I forgot the pot." And he walks over and he grabs the pot. And then he goes over and he gets the thing.
They
and
are
then he
trying
goes
to be
over
funny,
and he sets the pot down. And then he goes over. It's like back and forth with this pot. It's like, who cares?
It's like the movie, which already drags, it has It's like it's making fun of itself for how slow it is at some point.
And the blacksmith makes Santa Claus a magic key that will open any door.
That's pretty cool.
Except if you have a magic key that opens any door,
don't bother with
why
the chimneys.
are you going through the chimney? Why are you walking down this scary little rope ladder? There's also a part where Pitch has scissors. And I thought, oh, he's going to cut Santa's ladder and Santa's going to fall and hurt himself. No, he just cuts the dust bag so that Santa can't put the dog to sleep later.
How does the devil get defeated? Does he get like water thrown on it? What happens? Also, there's this set where Santa goes through a fireplace, and you could tell it's just a built set with maybe some cinder blocks, and you see that they've set fires here, but the soot is like up on one side. It looks like a fire hazard.
That's in the
hell.
rich boy's house.
The fire department comes because Pitch tricked them into thinking that there was a fire. And when the fire department showed up, Pitch walks out.
Make sure the fire's out.
And they spray him with a hose. And then he's like,
there's some smoke over there.
Well, that serves him right, the old troublemaker. He'll probably catch pneumonia. But he asked for it.
Yow! And then he's gone. Mr. Pitch is defeated. But Santa is like, I got one last stop. I feel like I really wanted a moment where Santa is one-on-one with Lupita, having that moment, handing her the doll, but it's separated.
He had that moment with the little rich boy, so they didn't do it again.
Lupita's the hero. She's the one that had to see all the nightmare visions.
I also wonder if it's because Lupita's mother never went to bed that night. Santa didn't want her to see, so he left the doll outside, but told her in her dreams to go look outside the door for her doll.
They could have just had Lupita, while the mother's sewing, just open the door, walk outside, and Santa greets her there, and personally have like a real sweet moment where he directly gives her the doll, but no, it's just removed from the scenario. The rich boy has money, so he gets to see Santa.
His parents do also come home.
Yeah, they do come home.
Because they drank Santa's magic potion.
So I guess they got whatever they wanted.
I hope that kid in the orphanage got parents. That was the saddest part to me.
We didn't follow up on that kid, so I don't think it happened.
And that one kid wanted a gun.
My dear Santa Claus, this year I have behaved very well. I have been obedient and have studied very much. For that reason, please try to bring me these toys. A toy automobile, a submarine, a football, a bat, roller skates, a scooter, a cannon, a rocket, a bicycle, an atomic laboratory, a machine gun. Ooh.
And Santa was like,
so be it.
Cool.
Also, he has spent the whole night in this one location, and it is the morning now. So guess what? Nobody gets presents except the rich kid and Lupita.
That's what it appeared to be like. Santa is very slow. He needs to stop. He needs to be faster down the chimneys. Well, he needs to skip the chimneys and just use the magic key. He needs to stop blowing kisses at children while they're sleeping. That's eating into the time.
That was creepy too.
And he just needs to be moving fast. Santa has to be omnipresent, right? There has to be something about him where he's everywhere at once, or else this can't be done. Okay. We've had some interpretations of Santa where like things are very fast. Like when he gets up in his sleigh, he can magically transport the presents down the chimney. I think it's all a movie like that. But this one is just like, no, there's nothing. But he needs to be everywhere at once. But that's Santa Claus versus the Devil from 1959, directed by Rene Cardona. We're going to give it 1 through 5 each. This is known as a low-end super camp B movie. I think I can go a 1.5 just for the sets alone. There was something creative about the creepiness of it all, and maybe the devil's a little unintentionally funny, or also intentionally funny. I think this is a comedy in a lot of ways. It just seemed like I was tired of watching it.
I was tired of watching it pretty early on. The devil eats burning coals, and the idea of chocolate ice cream is the scariest thing he's ever heard.
I like that idea.
I like that. I'll match you. 1.5 sounds fair.
So that's a 3. You know what? I'm going up a 0.25 because of Lupita and there's just something about Lupita. So I'm going to bring this up to a D.
Santa Claus did also put coal in the bad boy's shoes.
So check it out. It's a D-. Santa Claus versus the Devil, or just Santa Claus if you're nasty, by Rene Cardona from 1959. A strange, campy film. You can find it on YouTube. I think it is technically considered public domain at this point. But yes, you can find it on YouTube if you want to watch it. There's some entertainment there, but most of the time it's just like, I won't say it lacks creativity, but it is rather tedious.
If this was cut into a 30-minute story,
just a straight hour-long special or something.
Hour-long fine too, but it doesn't have to be near as long.
So we got on Friday this week, and then right before Christmas week, we've got the Bill Murray movie Scrooged. And that's one of our 2 takes on a Christmas Carol type story for the month. So come back on Friday for that contemporary comedy Christmas classic. Check the show notes for links to other places to find us. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Go watch Santa Claus versus the Devil and tell us what you think of it. Do you remember the Mystery Science Theater? We'll see you soon.
Happy holidays.
Have yourself a merry, merry Christmas. Have yourself a good time. But remember the kids who got nothing while you're drinking down your wine.